Hey, good afternoon, guys. Rick Baker here. I know this vlog has been long awaited for. I've told you many times I was going to do it, and I've missed the timeline every single time. My wife had to run into Rosales today, so it's just me in the house, and nice and quiet and calm, and thought I'd just sit down and crunch some of these numbers for you. It's probably the least favorite thing I hate to do. I love walking around and looking at things, but sitting down and looking at numbers is not my favorite pastime. So this is it. Bear with me. I happen to think when I just sit here and talk that it's probably boring on the other end, and I don't mean for it to be. Anyway, bear with me. Let's talk about the house. So it is not. We're not completely, and this is really what I was waiting for us to be totally done, you know, all payments made and everything that needed to be tweaked or repaired. Well, we're not quite there yet, but honestly, I think we're close enough that I could do this video, and yeah, so I'm going to do it. So the house, I've been asked, how many square meters is it? Well, it's kind of spread out. It's a bungalow. The main house itself and the pump room is right around 156 square meters. So that doesn't include the dirty kitchen, the carport, or the pool area. The pool area is about 45 square meters, and the carport is right around 50 square meters. The carport is attached in one area to the pump room, but it's really separate and apart. And that's not including, I didn't include the driveway or the area that's enclosed by the perimeter hollow block wall. So hopefully that gives you some idea of the size. I actually did that in square footage one day, and it's about a typical average home in Texas square foot wise. I believe it's under 2,000 square feet. I don't know exactly what it is, but it's open, it's comfortable. I designed it to be open all the time. We keep our sliding doors open, our windows open. Got a good breeze going through the house all the time. Just in case we don't, we got ceiling fans, and it's turning out to be a comfortable home. So let's talk about cost and the process. So for me, I didn't have any family here in construction. My wife didn't have any family in construction. We didn't know any builders in this area. We were living in Bologna City at the time, in Bataan, and had met a builder over there when we were looking at property in that area. And formed a relationship with them, and even they had told us that regardless where we found land, even if it wasn't in Bataan, they could build us the house. And that's what we ended up doing. We couldn't really afford property in Bataan. It's very high priced there. They kind of priced their land based on what might be 10 years down the road instead of what actually is. There really was no rhyme or reason for what they were asking for their property. We decided, of course, and I've alluded to all of this in different vlogs, so bear with me if you've heard this before, but my wife is from this area, Cuyapo, Nueva Ecija. It's in central Luzon. We are maybe halfway between Baguio and Angeles, Pampanga, Clark, the old Clark Air Base, if that rings a bell to you. So that's kind of where we sit. It is mostly rice fields. There are some mountains, which I absolutely love looking at. Mountains and water are my two favorite things. Really didn't want to live on the ocean per se. I had a home in the Dominican, not on the water, but in the hills above the water, quite beautiful. But I just wanted to move. Really, I wanted to be where my wife is from, because I know, someday I'm not going to be here. I want her to have to pick up and move where she feels comfortable once I'm gone. So in discussions with her, we just decided to start looking up here, and we found that the land up in this area was much more reasonable. People here were not asking for the moon for something that didn't exist. So fair prices. We looked for a while, found a good piece of property. We were able to negotiate the price. We were able to purchase it. Of course, it is titled in my Filipina's name. I am on the title. It says, you know, Jen Lynn Baker, husband Ricky Baker, da, 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 da. But by Philippine law, I cannot own property here. So it is in her name. And then we started the process of designing a home. Worked with TriTech Construction on that. We came up with several different ideas. Of course, pricing. The price of each of those designs had a lot to do with it. I knew what I could build. This was my retirement savings that I was using to build this home, and we had to make it all fit. So we ended up designing a bungalow type design, bungalow being a one-story, because I have artificial knees and I have lots of things going on with me medically from my past that probably smart for me to eventually settle with this design. And not only was it cheaper to build, but it mobility wise, it didn't make sense for me maybe 10 years from now trying to be going upstairs with these artificial knees. They do okay, but after a certain amount of steps in a day, they start to go south on me. So this actually was probably a pretty good idea. All right, so fast forward to pick the design, tweaked it. We were given an initial price to build that design. They did price the pool separately. I'm not sure why they did that, but the pool itself was priced separately. And initially, the price for building the home was $3,489,638 and some change. That's pesos. And you have to realize that at the time we started building this was probably the worst time you could build in the Philippines. Not only were material costs going up weekly, monthly, because of the whole COVID thing, material shortages and so forth, but the dollar exchange rate at the time was not real great. So I wasn't getting a lot of bang for my buck, not like I would for today if we were building today. Regardless, we built it when we did, and so if you were to divide those pesos by what it is today, 56, 57 pesos per dollar, it's not too bad. But if you do it at 48, 49 pesos per dollar, it adds a little bit to it. So we paid a little bit more than what we would have if we had built it starting today. The swimming pool was $28,299 pesos. That together, this was the initial price that we were given. So 4,517,937 pesos. So that came out to be anywhere between $80,000 and $90,000 for this home. And I thought that was very reasonable. This same home in the States, well, in Texas, is very reasonably priced, or at least it was when I left, as far as home costs in the East Texas area. No way you could have built this house for that price, not even close. So it felt like we were getting a good idea, and it fit within my budget. Add the land, we did purchase this property, 3,420 square meter property, terraced rice fields with some mango trees on the main road here out in the province, and we paid $400,000 for it, along with the home. So you were looking right at 5 million pesos all in. Land, home, swimming pool, the works. Now, as things go, we were given plans, we were given artist concept drawings, beautifully done with a computer, and my experience in the United States, when you get those, that's the product you get. That's what you end up with. It's not so much the case here, at least not with the builder that we used. So I'm going to speak to this simply as a heads up to those of you coming here and wanting to build, you need to be very inquisitive. I wasn't. I made a lot of assumptions. My mistake. And there's, I'm sure communication was an issue in regards to some of this. But the builder's expectation apparently was just to build a structure. Apparently that's very normal in the Philippines to not even finish it out, just to build the structure. Well, I wasn't expecting that. I was expecting what was in those artist concept drawings. As we communicated throughout the process and the months, the building, it became very apparent to me that that was not the case. So there were some added, or what they like to call additionals, added to the project. The perimeter wall, which is a very short wall, it's about 4 feet tall, but this is an elevated, backfilled project, so because of the terraced rice fields, there's a slope to the property, and so it needed to be just a little bit higher than the road out in front. They had to build retaining walls, do backfilling, and so forth. On many occasions I was told that none of that was included in my price, which obviously I argued that you can't build a home without doing that, and why would you not have that in your quote? My statement all along was I want a turnkey home, and I explained what turnkey meant. Again, the initial bid was not inclusive of some of those things. So the perimeter, the little short perimeter wall that was built was an additional cost. That was 273,411 pesos. I found out that even though it was on all the plans and the artist concepts and the works, the driveway was not included. And my carport sits a little ways from the road, so if you've ever been in a rice field, the soil is, especially during rainy season right now, it's quite, it's like quicksand almost, and so driving to my carport would have been an issue. The driveway was really a must. So that was an additional 160,827 pesos. The canopy that was in all the plans and on the artist concepts, I was told, this is the canopy that sits above the lanais out here on the pool deck. I was told that was not included, that was just an architectural feature. So I ended up paying for that, 160,827 pesos. The pump room, as we were building it, it became apparent to me that with the things that I wanted to put in the pump room, that it was not going to be big enough. That was a solar system, CCTV cameras, water filtration, water pump, pressure tank, pool filter system, pool pump system, a lot of things to fit in there. And I hope to have a little room for storage. So this was something that I simply added. I said, let's take the end of that pump room even with the front of the house, because it was offset. And that added just maybe 4 square meters. So I had to pay additional for that. That was 79,545 pesos. Another thing we found out that along the way, that we were only going to get, as they put it, a Filipino kitchen, which, if you know anything about Filipino kitchens, they're typically a countertop, a concrete countertop, no cabinets, maybe some shelves up above to stick things on. Well, in my artist concepts I was given, and in the plans and all, it was a full American style kitchen with cabinets and so forth, pantry, that type of thing. I definitely wanted that, and was told that would be additional. So that was an additional 133,376 pesos. A little bit different here than in the States. The builder includes everything like building permits and electrical hookups and water hookups and things. It's all included in your pricing. Here, supposedly it's not. So I ended up paying for every little thing that was done. Thought I was paying for some things, didn't get. So that's kind of what we're in the middle of discussing right now. But there was some additional documents, the plans, the signatures on the plans, all of this supposed to be for a building permit. I did pay for that. I was charged 16,085 pesos for that. For the power company to come and give us temporary electrical connection, that was right at 10,000 pesos. The well, there was no community water here, so I had to put a well in, and I wanted a deep well because I wanted good water. I want to be able to drink out of my tap. And so we put a deep well in, about, I think they said 6 pipes. I did have the water tested. It came out perfect. Like Maverick, the testing lab, the government testing lab said that this was our water is as good or better than the refilling stations that people get their drinking water from here. That deep well, and they even charge you for the people's food that come out and dig the well, gas, everything. It's all there. That cost me 74,222 pesos. And then as the project was nearing completion and we were going to finalize everything, we went to an electric pump instead of a hand pump, obviously, and a pressure tank so that we can maintain pressure in the house. That was an additional cost of 67,413 pesos. One lesson I learned, that we were given, quote, a bill of materials, and in that bill of materials there was prices for, and this is done in the same, similar in the States. Like for example, the interior fixtures, the flooring, you're given price caps for that. And if you want something that's more expensive than what's given in the original pricing, you pay the difference. When I went to look for the tile, for example, the floor tile for this home, and was told to go to a particular place, spent hours looking, there wasn't a single tile in the store that was at or below the price point we were given. Everything was more expensive. So we had a discussion about that, and I was eventually given 2 choices on floor tile through another source, I suppose. And so there was serious limiting to personal choice when it came to the finishing of this home. And there wasn't a sink that would have lasted more than a year in this house that I had enough budget to pick. So I picked some nicer things. For example, the kitchen sink was one of them. It was 50% off, but it was still more than what I was allotted. So that cost an additional 9,200 pesos. All of that total, not including the land, came to 5,480,797 pesos. The land would have put that just shy of 6 million pesos for the total project. So that's the dollar side of things. The way they did it, this builder does the payments. There's what they call progress billing. So they have a list of items. I've got it here. For example, layout and excavation, column footing, wall footing, some masonry, concrete, things of that nature, formworks. Once they get those things finished, they're about 30% into the project. Then you send a payment for 30% of the total amount. And then when the next 30% of items are done, and they've got it listed, so you kind of know when to start getting ready for that payment. Then there's another 30%, and then there's a third 30% payment, and then the final 10% should be once the home is completely finished. Which, if you've watched any of my vlogs, the turnover part of this did not go well for us, and we're still trying to get some final things taken care of before I release. I did send 5% of that final 10%, but I'm still hanging on to 5% just to ensure that everything gets taken care of, and we can everybody can feel good about where the project ended. Again, the home cost the build. Now this does not include we didn't get a front wall with that. The builder wanted to charge us about 375,000 pesos to build that 29 linear meter front wall and gate. We decided to hold off on that. Honestly, I was out of money. Got a local builder to price it. He came in about 100,000 less than my builder did. And then I started doing some additional searching, and I found the group that put in our perimeter fence, the concrete posts and hog wire and barbed wire on our perimeter fence. They wanted a shot at pricing it out, and they came in 250,000 pesos less than my builder did, which tells you a lot, I think. So that final price I gave you does not include that front wall or the gate. Doesn't include our perimeter property fence, which is concrete post, barbed wire, and hog wire. That was I did separate and apart. Does not include CCTV system. Did not include the installation of my filter or purchase of my water filtration. I did go ahead and purchase a water filtration system, even though our water is very clean, just as an added measure. It is an agricultural area. Pesticides and so forth. So I just wanted to be extra cautious. My family, we drink right out of the tap. Our refrigerator makes ice out of the tap. So I did do an additional filtration system, but I did that on my own. Doesn't include the solar. Solar was an additional, different company. So I haven't actually sat down and figured out what the grand total would be, but I'm guessing, if I had to guess, it would probably be right around 6.5. That's with land, building, and all the CCTV, solar, filtration system, the works, everything, front wall, gate, all of it. That's probably about where we would come in at, about 6.5 million pesos.
I'm so far away from home, in this desert of regrets. Never thought that I would have to let you go. Tell me, how can I forget? If I could travel back in time, I'd lay a blanket full of stars to brighten up the darkness of our sleepless nights. I'd find a way to make you smile. But I will break your fall, even if you don't love me, even if you don't love me. I will break your fall.
The good, the bad, the Philippines.